Welcome to another edition of XFeed. Yesterday's stream was an absolute banger. Appreciate you guys watching it. It's cool when I feel like a stream, was good from my point of view, and then it seems that you guys like it as well. So appreciate the love on that. Today, we're going over a lot of really cool headlines that are also relevant, right? It's not just okay, this is out there. It's actual rationales and reasons for things that are happening and perspective. So the title of the stream, talking about education and perspective. And that's what we're going to start with, but I want to give kind of just this thought off the rip. Shout out to the 1,000 people left on crypto Twitter here consistently holding down the fort. Everyone else either got bored, angry, or depressed and already left. Just a few of us are still here with enough conviction or insanity hanging out until it's fun again. So you can see within there, if you are somebody that's in the space and you have confidence within this, you're like, okay, yep, I agree again. It's going to be fun at some point. And, when fun is meaning something in particular, because for most of the people, again, we talk about crypto games here and there, but, the majority of you probably have played one here and there, but are you actively playing every single day? Probably not. Now, education and perspective. Why am I having this kind of thought or wanting to highlight it? Well, yesterday I saw somebody that was formerly on the Cool Cats Council, and they were talking about Fluff World, and they were saying, oh, those stupid, ugly bunnies, I was on the council, and, I can say now that Futureverse was part of the downfall for Cool Cats, so thanks for that. And so that's where part of the education comes in, right? Where somebody was a part of the council, they know the ins and outs and can say specifically, hey, there was certain things that were maybe referenced or there was a leak here and there. And their viewpoint was that it was, this collection's fault or this happening, right? And I'm going to mention a whole bunch of different collections within this, right? And from my point of view, who's somebody who's, relatively bullish on Futureverse from the tech side of things, seeing, okay, we have all these announcements with Ripple. We're having Animoca brand saying, hey, we're going to support all of these tokens. There is a much bigger scope. There's AI integration. And I look at Cool Cats and I'm like, okay, so that is an IP that they started with a team of 4 people, right? And you have the artist, the tech guy, some of the others. When I say 4 people, I don't know for sure if it was 4, because I remember the head tech guy, he's still in the space, but I forget who he's with, but I want to say that it was 4. Smaller team, but the point being that the perception from different people are going to be completely skewed one way or another, right? Where I'm saying, no, I think these guys are going to be here to help support Cool Cats, where the Cool Cats viewpoint, or at least from one individual, is, nah, these guys suck. So then when you see a certain take on that on the timeline, it shifts your perspective on what that viewpoint is, right? And for Yuga, you'll see a lot of people that say, never fade Yuga, as we highlighted, somebody bought the domain name for that the other day, or all about, hey, ApeCoin's the alpha, we got to get into this, these events are great, yada yada. But you'll also have other people that are more critical of things and saying, hey, these things were cool, but for ApeFest number 2, it was you entered a draw and you might have gotten entrance into one of the events, and one of the times was Questlove and I forget what the hell the lady's name was, but she was a comedian, and it didn't go over well, and they had a reveal of one of the mutant apes, and then the final day was Snoop Dogg, Eminem, all these crazy artists and people that were coming through making appearances, and the last day was amazing, but I couldn't get tickets to it. I got screwed on that, right? So I kind of have the viewpoint of at least for that event, it was all right, but not the greatest. And you'll have different people that have different opinions on that. And let's go now to VCon. You'll see a lot of people that say VCon's the greatest thing ever. They love going to the events, the socializing, all this other stuff. The first VCon that I went to, it was okay. It was in the Vikings NFL stadium. You had to walk around the entire area. It was pretty insane to go to some of these different talks, which is fine, right? You need a relatively big venue, but they ran out of merch within the first day. It was kind of expensive for certain things. It felt that, the talks were okay, but they had parts of the concert and stuff, but I didn't love it. But other people thought that it was the greatest thing in the world. And I think that we're going to have this massive problem, this massive stigma, this massive issue that even if Web3 starts succeeding in a bigger way, that we're starting to see kind of the, wider announcements, the more like mainstream approach, which I would argue is kind of led by Doodles and Pudgy Penguins right now. If you remember a couple weeks and months ago, all the talk was about Pudgy Penguins. Over the last month, I'd say it's almost universally talking about Doodles, where Pudgy hasn't gotten the timeline presence that it once had, but we're still going to have different people that are going out there and randomly saying Luca Nets is a scammer. What the hell does that have to do with anything? Right? Like, I'm not saying that he is by any means, but you have to remember, right? If you're not educated, you forget the fact that he was out there and he purchased like the Pudgy Penguins brand for like $2 million when the team was like, we're not doing anything with this. Somebody come and get this, right? We've seen other acquisitions where Pixel Vault, for example, acquired Wolf Game. I don't really know like the relationship there with like G-Funk and Beanie in terms of like how that went down, because those guys are always tasseling on the timeline regarding it. But it's like, I don't necessarily, like, I vehemently disagree that we're saying like Luca Nets is a scammer. I've talked to him. If you listen to the RWA podcast or RWA segments podcast in the description below, it's like episode 5 or 6. I talk with Luca. You can hear him. He's got a great mind. Maybe he was involved with some people like earlier in life before this whole NFT thing that moves maybe like, okay, like, maybe that wasn't like the best thing ever. But like, is he a scammer by any means? Has he made people's lives infinitely better lately? 100%. He's done some amazing things and revitalized the brand. But this perception that people have of, they heard this narrative before, there was this spaces that somebody like outed as a scammer, and people don't they don't look into things, they don't care, they take something at face value, which is what I do here. If you watch the stream and if you know something more, I've, said something negative about Doodles here and there, and it's more like, this certain thing wasn't great. Like the Genesis boxes. Sorry, I was trying to think of like what the hell I was complaining about. The Genesis boxes, I thought the auction for that wasn't great. It felt kind of like a cash grab for it. Didn't really make a whole lot of sense. I mean, it is what it is, as we've seen like all the collections do stuff, but I've seen what Doodles have done, and I'm like, listen, this is great, but I also have that biased viewpoint. And so I'm self-aware enough where I can say, hey, I had like a certain problem that I didn't really love a certain aspect of it, but I can appreciate something else. Most people don't have that. They just have a super negative view. And I was talking to some people, shout out Mr. JVB within my Discord, and we were just chatting. He's like, man, I hate X. And Atari, sorry, I'll read the chat in 1 second. And he's like, I hate X right now. And I'm like, okay, listen, talk to me, brother. What's going on? And he's like, everything is just completely negative. Then I'm thinking to myself, damn it, I made a super negative headline on my YouTube video yesterday for X. Maybe JVB saw that and I made him, But he's right. When you go on the timeline, almost everybody is talking shit about things. Now, yesterday, again, self-awareness, I was super critical about Jenkins. Mintage as well. Yep, we've been critical about that as well. But I think that there is like rational reasons for it, right? Where when we know that the source of this information or who's giving us their opinions of things is relevant or in the know, okay, we can take that. But most people get new information and they're like, okay. But they don't like actually admit anything or try to change their perspective on things. And so we go into this point where we're going to have all these collections that are doing great things. And for Bored Apes, you have everybody that's minted, like myself. Well, not everybody, but the people that had minted are like, you know what? This is great. We bought something for like $250, which sounds absolutely insane. But this is at the time where, we were finding something that was new. It was exciting. And bam, this thing blew up to insane heights. And then there was all these headlines about how apes are racist. These things are this and that. Obviously, like pretty much the entire thing was proven false. But it's like, okay, I have like the super negative stigma about it. I have people that are commenting on like my original Bored Ape video. And this was like a while ago for anybody that doesn't know. And they ended up like suing the guy, and the guy who like made these claims lost and all these. Anyway. But you have the people that were like original mentors that were like, okay, this is great. We've had airdrops. We've had everything else. So I could not have asked for a better experience within the Web3 space. But then on the flip side, you have the people that have bought the apes at either the peaks or at different points when they were, potentially 50 to 70 ETH, and now they just think that they're a colossal failure. And they will never change that, right? Where Yuga has sold off different components for Heavy Metal and Legends of Mara after announcing, hey, we have all these partnerships with World of Women, with Forgotten Ruins Wizards Called, with Mutant Hounds, all these things. And people are speculatively buying on these, right? Because we forget about the fact that right now we don't really have any speculation going on. Well, I mean, like a little bit where we'll get into the eggs on flow for Cryptokitties. But the people that bought higher will always, unless they're, kind of like self-aware of, hey, I purchased something for hundreds of thousands of dollars when the team initially sold this for 200, but the team sucks, they're failures, they don't know what they're doing. And then it goes back to the conversations of, well, how much did they raise? Did they hire the right people? What's happened? What's the legal things? Yada, 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 yada. And so I remember, I'm assuming it's fine to talk about this, way back in the NBA Top Shot days when we had like referee meetings. And so there was like, I want to say like 20 of us that were like just there. They didn't really have the staff. It was obviously like, for anybody that doesn't know, NBA Top Shot went from like 1,000 users to like 40,000 plus like overnight. Like it got absolutely crazy and they were like trying to scale and stuff. So they had different community members that were there to help, facilitate the Discord, mod a little bit, yada, yada. And so we had these meetings every once in a while. And I remember people were fuming over the Cool Cats LaMelo Ball moment. And so if you weren't there, basically the way that Top Shot worked was that everybody had challenges that they could do. I don't remember if it was like monthly, bi-weekly, weekly, whatever. And it was like you get a certain collection of moments and you would get a prize card, I guess. And one of the longest running things was this Cool Cat set. So if you went and got all these moments, you would get like a Cool Cat card for, let's just say it's 1 month. Next month, you get another Cool Cat card. And if you had all these Cool Cat cards, you would get a LaMelo Ball one at the end. And I remember people were just like, okay, we got the card. The prices fell flat. I mean, the speculation leading up to it was massive. And then basically nothing, right? And I remember at the time, they were kind of telling us like, hey, we wanted to do like all these things where we were giving out like signed LaMelo jerseys, all these collectibles and whatnot. But then I don't remember if it was like the NBA or Dapper or who, but somebody squashed that, right? And it was like, listen, this is what I want to do, but I'm getting told like I can't do it the way that I think people would really like. And so that's part of the educational thing where we're talking about like the inside with like the council and being aware and obviously, NDAs, whatever the hell it is. And you think negatively about somebody because they're like, oh, they didn't do that when it's not. I mean, they want to do something, but for some extenuating reason, that's not the case. But we put the blame on different things. So the point of this conversation is that when you're reading stuff online, when you're consuming all of this, when you're talking to new people or individuals that are already in the space, realize that they've already gotten educated in a certain way about something. And unless you can do something like insane, and to be honest, the person that was talking about the Cool Cats thing a little bit earlier, I feel like if Futureverse or Fluff gave them like hypothetically $10,000, they'd still have that negative viewpoint. Like that's the thing is like you can't, no matter what, you won't be able to change certain people's opinions. Now that doesn't account for everyone everywhere, you know what I mean? But I think that it's something that moving forward, we have to remember that people are going to have very, very specific knowledge about things. Education is massively lacking because again, the space is still all these like headlines, clickbait, yada, yada. I'm trying to get the paycheck on X. It's crazy. I get it. But I don't know. It's just, it feels like frustrating reading different things and knowing perspectives and like having thoughts on them. And I'm like, listen, I don't want to get into an argument with somebody because I feel like they're not going to know. Another example of this is like 2 weeks ago when there was the guy that was ripping on Gary V and saying that because Immutable X was shutting down their native NFT marketplace to help support third-party builders, right? Like this is like Ethereum having their own NFT marketplace and then saying, hey, we're shutting it down because we want to push traffic to OpenSea, Blur, X2, Y2, et cetera, et cetera. That's fine. This guy's making an entire post thread going on about how because Gary V is an investor in Immutable X, that's why it's failing. What? They're just shutting down a marketplace to help put. What do you mean that it's fair? What the hell does that have to do with Gary V? me. Right? But it's the education where they've had something that's a super negative effect, and no matter what you do, that guy will always hate Gary for the rest of his life and be an internet troll regarding it. You know what I mean? It's just, it's wild out here. Anyway, let's get down to the chat. Atari, McLovin, oh baby. Cool Cats community is absolutely wrecked, trying to do some bridging behind the scenes. We'll see. Hell yeah, I get where the Cool Cats are coming from. So that's the thing, is like, it's not like, I'm not trying to rip on anybody individual. I totally get where it's coming from, but at the same point is if you like zoom out and you're aware of all of the different tools and stuff being built, and you're like, hey, this is a part of this, and the team like on the Futureverse side has specifically said, hey, we're like using the Cool Cats IP to try to go mainstream with it. It's like, that is exactly what you guys wanted. Is it not? Unless it goes back to, oh, we want like, you know, the initial community, all this kind of stuff. But I mean, everything that's like one-of-one communities, these smaller things, they're cool when like the prices are high, but then it always dies, right? Like people like say, hey, like we're in a community, we like each other. I mean, you know, are we actually all going to talk to each other if we suddenly don't have any common interest whatsoever? That's the biggest thing, is the common interest is what brings everybody together, right? Like all the people that I met through Top Shot, like, I mean, some of them I still talk to because we're in like the Discord and whatnot. There are a lot of people I used to trade and do everything with. I don't really talk to anymore. For Bored Apes, I used to be involved in a ton of like the community stuff on that side. Still follow what they're doing, think it's really cool. I don't stay in touch per se. You know, I had a couple messages the other day actually from different people that I used to talk to a lot, and it was like, hey, hope you're good. And I'm like, hell yeah, this is cool. Appreciate you reaching out. Doing well. How the hell are you? You know what I mean? But if you don't have those common interests, where for like Bored Apes, when we had that heavy metal game, and I do have a series on YouTube if you want to check out like the playlist, where it was, you can kind of see like over time, I was like, okay, this game's kind of but you had to like socialize every single day for the game, and it was fun. I mean, it was a little bit much at times if people weren't responsive, but it was fun reconnecting with everybody. I don't know. We need more upstanding projects like Mintage. The problem is most of these guys have never ran a successful business. Well, I mean, I think that there's definitely like a lot of armchair commentating on things. And I mean, I mean, I got my arm on an armchair right now. What the hell have I done that like allows me to speak about these things? Nothing, right? Like I'm just sharing thoughts because I'm thinking, hey, Web3 is kind of cool. Maybe we can share some different thoughts together. And I love when you guys have different opinions on things. And if you guys ever correct me, like, I mean, I'm down. I want to learn things. You know what I mean? And McLovin, what in the halibut is up? Good to see you. And Atari, thank you for the kind words. Okay, so let's get on to the rest of the stream and we'll see how we can relay things back. Okay, so Soneium, the Sony blockchain, right? There's this thing called Sequence, where they made a post saying, we're going mainstream with Soneium as a proud infrastructure partner for the Soneium Spark incubation program. Sequence is fueling a thriving ecosystem that drives technological advancements, accelerates innovation, and propels the Soneium ecosystem to new heights. Okay. Why is everything a buzzword? Can you explain what the hell this means? They're a part of an incubation program. How are you fueling a thriving ecosystem that drives technological advancements? What are these announcements? Why are they presented in this way? Now, why am I bringing up Sequence? Well, because during the Futureverse Vibe panel event that they had in their sponsors, you can see that there is Sequence that is listed on this. And I forget who mentioned this because it was in the Futureverse Discord, but they're like, oh, there is a Sequence connection, and I was like, hold on, what the hell is this? So Sequence build Web3 games with ease. Sequence is the leading all-in-one Web3 development platform for games built by Horizon. Okay, I have no idea what Horizon is, but all-in-one development platform for games. So what the hell does that mean for Futureverse? How are they a part of? Does that mean that Soneium's connected in any single way? I have no idea. We're going to go on some different topics about IP, right? Big one a little bit later, but again, Fortnite, Marvel, highlighting this. We were at the grocery store, and again, they keep giving us all of these cards that are like, they just open, and it's these things. I saw people, somebody noticed that I was carrying these. They're like, oh, do you collect those? And I was like, no, do you want them? They're like, no, we have like a stash of them if you want them. And it's just the name recognition, the brand, the IP, people recognize it. It's everywhere right now. It's everywhere right now. And yesterday we were talking about the story protocol IP, all these other things. How important is IP? But more on that in a little bit. New Sandeep Nail Wall sold Utes for 209, sold $27,000. The Polygon co-founder had purchased the NFT for 30 ETH shortly after Frank DeGod has decided to bridge the collection from Solana to Polygon in the aftermath of the FTX. Okay, so I'm confused. Hold on. So the Polygon co-founder had purchased the NFT for 30 shortly after, but this person is not. Okay. So they rebought their own NFT. I'm trying to totally understand what the hell's going on here. But either way, an NFT selling for $30,000 that's not Bored Ape, sign me up. Concord is officially shutting down on September 6th. Now, if you haven't seen this, basically it's a game that kind of looked like Overwatch. This was supposed to be kind of a big release. Watched a little bit of gameplay. It looked like too slow to be super successful. Apparently, they put like 8 years and over $100 million into this and shut down. So we talk about perception and education. You see this thing, right? And then you look at different Web3 games that are building things or about to launch and saying, hey, you know, we're doing AAA, we're doing this, that, or the other thing. There's a lot of concerns because you're like, hold on a second. We just saw a thing that spent 8 years and $100 million and shut down after 10 days. And we're supposed to have utmost confidence? Yeah. I don't know about that one. You know what I mean? You know what I mean, fam? You know what I mean? Crazy. Not much is up. Just being here and being an absolute fist. Yo, I'm doing good. Yo, this man's insane. Here's the thing about eggs. And again, this is talking about the Cryptokitties project back from like early days Ethereum, kind of the first bull run type deal with NFTs was led by that. And again, they sold some eggs that were like, I think like only 3,000 people bought them. They were selling for $20. Right now they're going for like $600. Insane. New entrants don't have context. Older participants connected the dots. You can't comprehend these sweeps. You are witnessing this isn't an admonishment. Every blue chip collection needs the volume. And listen, I see the thing that doesn't make sense to me is the collection's like 3,000, right? Unless I'm completely wrong on this. Let me fact check here. But if you're talking about a 3,000 edition collection, I mean, yeah, so it's 3,134. It takes very little price action for things to happen. So the questions about, okay, is this going to be you know, like the reference to like insider sweeps and all this. I mean, listen, for like an old collection that's randomly doing something mysterious when there's like virtually nothing to speculate in the NFT land as of right now, it getting, you know, a decent amount of bids doesn't seem that crazy. In 2017, Cryptokitties break Ethereum. 2021 NBA Top Shot kickstarts the NFT bull run. And in 2024, an egg. Dapper Labs has led 2 bull runs. Next breakthrough innovation with NFTs will happen with Flow on EVM. So it's interesting, a lot of focus on EVM. Again, Ripple making that announcement the other day. But what I want to kind of highlight with this whole egg concept is Cryptokitties was made for basically mass adoption. It was something that was easily able to scale. And same with NBA Top Shot. They just completely printed moments. And people were able to get a ton of the supply. It got more people within the space. Price goes up because the demand is high and supply is kind of low. But the supply was still there, so it kept on coming, and it wasn't just a singular thing. So we're making the reference of like the 2 previous bull runs being run by Dapper Labs and Flow. Well, sorry, not Flow, because at the time it was Ethereum for Cryptokitties, but I don't know if I necessarily agree with this because it's a collection out of 3,000. So how the hell is that going to bring the next wave? Now, they're talking about the overall bull market being because of Flow being connected to EVM, and I could see it, but I mean, I'm kind of hesitant on like this whole like CryptoKitties narrative as of right now. Not to discredit what they've done historically, because I think absolutely it's gotten a ton of attention. And it also brings up the conversation of historical NFTs, but yeah. Okay, so one of the craziest things that we've seen on the timeline as of late is just a bunch of people just absolutely beating each other over Parallel. Apparently, Hearthstone, the game by Blizzard, it's a trading card game, and Parallel, which is a Web3-based card game, people have been going at it. I don't know kind of like where this started or why they've depicted on that, because again, there's Pokemon, there's Magic the Gathering, there's all these other card games. Why the hell is it Hearthstone versus Parallel? I don't know. But Bo from Pudgy Penguins made a very interesting point, because people are asking about like, why the hell is all this like people complaining about it, yada, yada. I said, they're not tearing down a trading card game. They're pointing out the flaws in a system where you can donate money to a company and earn nothing in return. And this is kind of talking about how a lot of the trading card games right now are very predatory. And if anybody's played them, you know this. And if you don't know this, well, you're just not paying attention. Instead, with Parallel, you can acquire the best decks for completely free or buy cards from other players and sell them if you stop playing. This is just a new tech stack for trading card games. Hearthstone is a great game. Obviously, many Parallel players also love Hearthstone. So I guess for like comparison, for anybody that hasn't played the games, for the Pokemon trading card game that's online, you have to go out to a store, purchase a Pokemon pack, and scan the card in the pack. There is no way to get like a cheaper variation online or anything like that. You have to go out, buy the product. You'll have the physical and the digital, and you can never do anything with that digital. You just have it, you stop playing the game, it's whatever. You have the physical cards, I mean, I guess you could sell. For Magic the Gathering, there are the ability to purchase cards online. But then again, when you're done with them, there's nothing you can do. It's just there. I don't remember if, I want to say that there are like scanners in the Magic the Gathering packs for redeeming cards online as well. But the point being is that once you have these digital cards, there's literally nothing you could do with them. However, we can make the argument that when you have the physical ones, you can resell it. So why could we not do that for the digital variations of that? As you guys probably have interest in life, you know, look for a year ago. What were you going out? What events were you doing? Were you collecting anything? Are you still doing that to this day, or has your interest potentially changed? And there's nothing wrong with changing interest, but the problem is like, okay, you're kind of like essentially burning money in a way if you're not doing anything with that. And so it gets, you know, it's all these conversations around value, money, et cetera, et cetera. And I thought that was interesting. Portal Coin. Holy smokes, they're partnering with literally everybody within Web3. ApeCoin, Futureverse, now Immutable X. Guess this is like a payment platform. I'm not sure what's going on with MoonPay. I remember that was like one of the main crypto onboarding tools, or at least seemed that they were advertising as that before, but it seems like Portal is really, really kicking up some steam. The Web3 Comic-Con is today, which is kind of interesting. Just scrolling super quickly through this. Michael Carter from Mobius. These are different speakers. Emmanuel Das, I'm just going to say first names. Ardenal Studio. We have Flame from Not Financial Advice. Who else we got? We got David Yu from Vivi, Andrew Ward from Candy Digital, Shri from 3D Houdini. A couple of different speakers, will be interesting. And I think we're starting to see more of these like events happen where collections are wanting to go and make different announcements at them. Obviously, the Korean Blockchain Week is right now, where Yuga Labs just announced their $1 million prize pool for Dookie Dash. So again, big Web3 games are starting to really pop up. So shout out Resistance. I know he's in the Futureverse community, but during some of this like conversations with Jenkins yesterday, I saw somebody posting about the original Punks comic, which I actually have it right behind me as well. And so he was asking about just like the Punks comics for Pixel Vault, and G-Funk had this to say, and again, perception and education. Interesting hearing this, so that's why I'm sharing. We all love the comics. They are just not going to make the difference in the outcome for the company and token holders that the community is looking for. We have already not only completed the Punks profile pictures, but also had them all built out for eventual inclusion on Battle Plan via Titmouse. Far from forgotten, just trying to get things in proper order before we release new things. So again, we've kind of had the conversations of our teams kind of holding back it all for like better market conditions. It doesn't sound like this is necessarily the case, but they're, you know, kind of mapping out a game plan and changing. But it is interesting because, you know, I think a lot of people that were really into the Punks comics were, okay, like what's going on with this, and seeing that is cool. But the problem is that not everybody's online all the time. Not everybody's going to see these things. And when founders make comments or let people know of like, hey, this is like what's happening, some of the things are getting missed unless it's in a big announcement, yada, yada, yada. Okay, tweet from Boomer. Q2 2024 wasn't kind to NFT metaverse-based collections. It's tough. According to a report by Dap Raider, trading volume is 43 million. Again, this is for NFT-based metaverse collections. So land sales 61,000. We're down 29% in volume. When you look at this back in Q2 of 2023, 229,000 trading volume. So we've been cut like way more than half down, which is kind of crazy. And the numbers are more startling when we see that Mochaverse's trading volume makes up 49% of the trading volume. I'm impressed. That is kind of crazy. Now, when I look at this, I'm a little bit confused because they like lump Mochaverse in here. And when you take out Mochaverse, because like, does Mochaverse even have land? Like, so Other deeds, okay, the Sandbox, Essential Land, those are all land. Other deed expanded, those are land. A coda isn't land, right? So these numbers are theoretically, like, I mean, I'm not great at math here, but 2, 3, 3, like, this is like less than $10 million in volume. Listen, that's not, or at least I guess that's market cap. Unless, no, that's trading volume. But the point being is that, okay, so these are all kind of like flawed in the first place because they're talking about like metaverse NFT collections, and there's like a lot more than these, but they like view this as kind of like it. When you throw in some of the other ones, I mean, the numbers are probably like way, way, way worse. But like Decentraland also here at like 381,000. Like, who the hell is building this? Right? Like, who are spending this amount of money? Is it people that are thinking, hey, we're wanting to jump into the space and build something more on these things? Like, I don't know if the user base is really there for them to be like, yeah, let's do that. NFTs are not dead, said Dan Tapiro. This is why we need NFTs. Immutable record of artist work allows for commissions on secondary market sales. And so this is an article that's super interesting. And when I kicked off the stream talking about importance, substance, etc., this is like the main story for it. So the headline says, my work sells for millions, but only a fraction of that came to me, says Scottish painter. Peter Deutsch says crazy prices on the secondary market must be reined in to protect young artists. So within this article, they basically highlight all of the different painting sales. Obviously, he's done a lot. But the 65-year-old artist estimates that since 2007, his paintings have achieved combined sales of almost 380 million pounds. But he has now revealed that he has made barely 230,000 pounds for himself from selling them. So if we remember a while ago, this was the big notion. Hey, there's massive art sales in the world. Is it money laundering from the elites? What the hell is it? The people just want to have that store of wealth. What's going on? And then the conversation goes back to the artists of, hey, they're making hundreds of millions elsewhere, but the artist is getting ripped off. Similar to like Web3, the whole notion of like, can the middleman? More and more headlines like this, people feeling sympathetic for the artists, the adoption, I think it's going to come. I might save this last part. You know what? Maybe we'll go through it now. Yeah, it's not too bad. Okay, so these are a bunch of like actually awesome takes. And listen, I gave a whole bunch of takes at the beginning of this one, so we're going to go over this. This is from Redphone. Actually, this was phenomenal. So they quote tweeted somebody, but that's irrelevant because these are just a bunch of, you can make these all like individual tweets. So lots of my old DeFi summer friends from 22 and 21 hardly pay attention to the industry anymore. It's sad, but an inevitable part of the industry's maturation. And I've seen in repeating cycles since 2013. The Bitcoin ETF was a watershed moment for crypto. It's a natural historical marker for the end of crypto's cypherpunk phase and the beginning of its corporation phase. The corpo phase is less exciting but more impactful in terms of reach. It'll include things like native crypto integrations with Chrome, iPhones, and Androids, and other normie-friendly crypto solutions. We need that as UX still sucks in crypto. The infrastructure is there. We now need new perspectives to build seamless grandma-friendly interactions. Corpo phase will have its own degenning, of which BlackRock is leading the way right now. Will take some time for this gain momentum. But it feels inevitable if and when Bitcoin price spikes and real-world assets start seeing some adoption. More corporations will get involved and corporate employees will begin buying coins instead of buy pressure coming exclusively from us fringe-ass weirdos. Call us fringe-ass weirdos. Insane. The real mania in crypto won't begin until Bitcoin rises above $100,000. Lots of the stuff that looks unexciting in crypto will suddenly look exciting again. The election implications are profound. Agree that a Trump win changes the equation entirely. A Trump loss means other countries outside of the US will have to lead the way for the next 4 years. Massive opportunity for them. So I think that one's actually super interesting where they're saying it's going to not have the US lead for 4 years. Seems like a pretty bold statement, but we'll see. Global liquidity has massive impacts on our industry. The spigot will turn on again soon. This cycle will see a political figure rise up as a crypto champion, similar to what Saylor has done in the corporate world. Maybe it's Trump, but I want someone far more technical and inspiring. There's a massive opportunity for a country to lean into crypto and start building a Bitcoin and crypto-based national reserve while simultaneously legitimizing crypto within their borders. This country could be a shining light for the rest of the world. Now, if you happen to watch the stream yesterday, this is super interesting when he's talking about like a crypto champion, because in the RWA collectible spotlight spaces that we did, that I did retweet if you're on or following me on X, and the thing that Lejeune was talking about, as I mentioned, was that if you go to different businesses or companies, you just need to find the crypto champion and work with them, because they'll be the ones that get everything, that can make things easy, that lead the charge, and you need the crypto champion in the different businesses if you want to work, or if you want it to work. And so very interesting that we've had now 2 touch points. It's like when your teacher tells you something, you're like, okay, like I kind of agree, but then when another source tells you, you're like, okay, I fully agree. The younger generations will lead us forward. Watch them for indications of where crypto is heading and what it enables that's completely outside of the older generation's mental frameworks. The thinking that got us where we are today won't necessarily take us where we need to go tomorrow. In past bears, I legitimately wondered if crypto were going to disappear entirely. That's simply not a concern of mine anymore. Barring, of course, some crazy new AI-driven architecture that renders decentralized blockchains inefficient. Love that take. Kind of agree. I remember before, right after the kind of like, I guess like collapse of the industry, where like I got into the space, everything went nuts, and then I was like, oh my God, are we dead? And then I was like, no, I'm just a first cycler. We got a flat tire. You know what I mean? Then the tire gets pumped back up and we're vibing. One way of looking at decentralization is it's a way of subtracting humans and our failings from business interactions. It's algos over emotions, and it feels purpose-built for AI. As AI grows in relevance, so will crypto. Meme coins wouldn't be possible without the systems we built over the past decade. Seeing behavior I don't love inspires me because it means this stuff really is permissionless. And I like to believe that means we're going to see crazier things arise that are better for humanity. Those with conviction and who are building hard right now will be the next cycle's God Kings. Built with a chip on your shoulder. Every stride forward you take today could be worth 10 strides once attention returns. You can look at current vibes as depressing, or you can see them as what it is, an opportunity. Crypto adoption is one part tech, one part dreams. We need to dream bigger. So again, huge shout out for Redphonecrypto. Love the different takes on that. First time seeing them on my timeline, but hope you guys enjoyed a bunch of those different spots. Okay, so this is kind of interesting. For Futureverse, I guess everything going on with like the crypto week in Korea is going pretty all right. You know, all the Ripple announcements. We are seeing a huge spike in the search terms for Futureverse. And I mean, on my own personal channel, I've noticed like over the past few days, I've gotten like 30 plus views on the what is Futureverse video after like it usually getting like 1 to 2 a day, if that. So people are absolutely searching for it, which is kind of crazy. Now, there was one other thing that I wanted to look at. No, not that one. That was the same tweet again. Oh, is this. So this came out from Bitcoin News. Google searches for the term Bitcoin hit their lowest level since the beginning of the year. So Futureverse getting to the heights and Bitcoin's going to their lowest. And I was like, you know what? That's kind of funny. That is kind of funny. So Stache put out this chart that was kind of ranking their perception of gaming tokens. So in S tier, there's Avalanche, Parallel. I think this is Superverse that's involved with LEO Trade, and then Ton. And the next one in A, is this the one that Futureverse was connected with? I forget, Chibi Clash? Because I'm seeing the C, I don't remember anything else. We have Alluvium, Portal, I'm not sure what that is, Ronin, Star Atlas, and then the list goes on. But in C tier, they have High Chain, they have Sandbox, they have the Portal coin, and Ape coin, which are super interesting. I think, you know, for arguments, because I'm not going to talk about all this stuff, I think Sandbox valuation is pretty high. So like I can see for C, Portal coin, I don't know exactly what they're doing other than like the fact that they have these payment rails or Portal Pay that's being connected to everybody. And the revenue from that is going back into different tokens within their ecosystem to apparently they're sponsoring one of like the big Dota esports world tournaments. Now, ApeCoin, I was kind of critical of right away just because I was like, the valuations of this is absolutely insane. There are tens of thousands of people that are staking, getting ApeCoin every day that are able to dump until there's use cases, everything else. I don't know about that. In the bottom, we have Gala Games. I've been kind of critical about that. The games, the experiences, doesn't seem like there's a whole lot going on with it. And I'm not, I don't really think that I have enough of an education on these other ones to talk about, to be totally truthful with you. But it is very interesting that we're putting Ton, Parallel, Superverse, and Avalanche. I think this is Avalanche at the top of these ones. So it will be interesting to watch how that ages. So just on the topic of IP, and I'm going to leave you with this. And so I watch montecristo, and he does a whole bunch of different league esports shows. And last night on his stream, he was talking about wanting to go and play all of the Star Wars video games, and that's what he wants to do. That is his desire, going and playing all of the old Star Wars games that have ever been made. And on the topic of IP, sure, there's a lot of people that don't like the new Star Wars, as is a lot of people don't like the new Rings of Power season or the show to begin with. But there are massive, massive audiences for these big brands. And we've seen the like of Cryptoys, where they're like, hey, we do digital toys. And I think like that concept's a little bit early for its time, but if you have these where it's IPs that are integrated into full gaming experiences, I don't know. Feels kind of spicy. That's going to be it for this edition of XFeed. If you missed it, we went on a huge rant at the beginning of this. Reason for the title. Hope you guys go and check that back out. Appreciate the hell out of you for watching. If you give me a like, would be unbelievable. Comment even better. McLovin, Atari, appreciate you guys chiming in during this live.